Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody. Don't mind the sunburn, he's getting better these days. Cody, we got an emergency show. We got an exciting thing to talk about, big trade, but first off, how are you today?
Yeah, James, big show. Sorry that I haven't been here the past few weeks. Was on vacation, and then the vacation turned into an emergency stay in Florida because of the sun poisoning. What a time. What a great memory. Don't want to relive it again, but honestly, funny looking back now that I'm kind of healing up. Yeah, James, I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing well, but we're not alone today, are we?
We're not alone. We have two special guests with us that, again, are becoming more permanent friends and family here at Steelers by the Lake members. At this point, they're also co-hosts as well. So let's bring up Jill from Ohio. Hello, Jill from Ohio.
Jill from Ohio.
And then also bring up Nick Pretzel. Mr. Nick Pretzel, a frustrated fan. Welcome.
Thought it was the only fitting monogram for our post here today. We'll get into it, I'm sure.
Oh, we absolutely will. So the shows have been a little late recently because me being out of town, I wasn't able to post them and get them edited and everything that had to be done, which is fine. This is going to be the third episode in 3 days. So for those of you loyal fans listening today or listening whenever you're listening to this, sorry for the bombardment of media and posts, but here we are. The time is 5:20 p.m. on July 1st, 2025, and the Steelers have now gotten rid of their all-pro, Pro Bowl safety Minkah Fitzpatrick and received a number one, number two, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it, tight end Jonnu Smith and a corner potential safety, Jalen Ramsey. I'm sure that'll be part of the discussion. We're definitely going to get some input from these guys. Jill is actually in the middle of cheer practice. She stepped away for a moment, so we appreciate her. So, Jill, we want to get your opinion first on all this and just kind of hear your thoughts.
And real quick, just details on the trade. It was Minkah Fitzpatrick and a Pittsburgh Steelers 2027 fifth-round pick for Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, and a 2027 seventh-round pick. So no capital given up in the 2026 draft. Jill, take it away. I want to hear your input on this.
I have a lot of thoughts and lots of emotions. So I'm trying to be level-headed because, we're just the observers on the outside going, what the heck is going on in the Steelers organization right now? Because losing Minkah it hurts. I'm like, I feel like he's just been such a consistent player and so solid for us. I mean, you said it, Cody, like fifth pro, like 5 years of Pro Bowl. He's 96 tackles last year. I mean, just is an incredible, incredible player. And he is so unbelievably consistent at that free safety, position. So losing him feels really tough. And so I'm like, he was the one I was maybe going to get his jersey. And this is now why I wait until they're retired at this point to get a jersey. Didn't have a Ben jersey until his last year in the NFL. I got a Brown jersey. That didn't go well. I got James Harrison thinking he was going to retire with us. That didn't go well. Anyway, but I was potentially looking to add him to my repertoire of jerseys. And then this happened. And I was like, well, okay.
Hey, at least now you can get it on sale, right, Jill?
I guess so. You know what? My parents love to go to Rogers, which is like a flea market on the border of Ohio and PA. I bet they're probably going to be dirt cheap there. So I'm going to tell you be on the lookout for a Minkah Fitzpatrick jersey. Because you know what? It doesn't feel like it's, there's some trades and stuff where it's like the player wants to go. And so it feels a little bit more like bad blood. This felt a little surprising to me, but I was listening to, I don't even know who this was that I was listening to earlier, but they were saying the past month, there's been a little bit of, we are not actively looking to shop with him, but if somebody comes to us with the right offer, it's on the table. It's not completely off the table, but I don't know. It felt surprising to me. So I know last year, even though he's getting the tackles, he's not making the splash plays that we were seeing at the beginning of his career, which we could argue that is what we're paying him for, is to see more of those splash plays. But I'm somebody that I value consistency, and I value the fact that he has high football IQ. And so to lose him just feels tough.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say in response to that for you, Jill, is looking at his stats. He had 18 interceptions in his first 4 years with us, and 2 in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, I think a lot of that can be accredited to lack of corner play. He's had to make up for a lot of bad plays that our cornerbacks have not been able to keep up with people and stuff like that. I mean, we're talking about playing with Levi Wallace, Cameron Sutton, an aging Joe Hayden. I think actually the last year with Joe Hayden was the year he had 6. So 6 interceptions.
Pat Pete way beyond his
Peterson.
prime. Yeah, Dante Jackson getting smoked left and right.
Yeah.
And so it's almost, in my mind, it's almost unfair to be as hard as we are on him right now. But yes, if you look at the stats, he hasn't been the same player. But
right. But we haven't equipped him. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
So again, and now like I felt like we had a pretty solid cornerback room. You know, like I was excited to see what we could set up for Minkah. Like we had Elliott, his opposite with Elliott, and then we had people like potentially Dante Kent and like Eccles and like these people that I was excited to see duke out for the corner, but now I'm like, well, dang it, who's gonna step up for safety? Like, who's gonna be that solid football IQ? Which I guess goes back to speaking to how well he played. The fact that he had to make up for all of that, but still was involved. You still saw him where the play was happening. So I don't know that. So it feels tough. I feel emotional about it. But yeah, so I think, James, I guess, kind of hopeful for you because it's looking more and more like Castro's going to make the 53-man roster.
I'm just glad James and I haven't gone over our positional battles with safeties yet because
you did.
You did.
Oh, we did. We did cover safeties.
I just listened to both episodes today because I finally had the time to do it, and I was like, "Well, this didn't age well." And I was like, "Well, there goes my roster predict." Anyway, but I'm thinking Castro's going to get. We're going to go with the 4 because that's really all. I know we have some guys that aren't named that can potentially maybe sneak up on us in the preseason, but it's looking like the 4 right now. So that'll be which I like. I was, even when I did my 53-man, that was somebody when I was doing my 25 offense, 25 defense. He was one that I was like, I'd like to put him on there. But I also feel like now that we've added this corner, this with Smith, you know what? Let me stay on one track here because I'm going to go off track. I had so many I feel like this trade is such a domino effect with our whole roster because I'm like, now these battles are going to get more interesting.
For sure.
But before I move on, James, do you want to talk about how you're excited that Castro is probably going to make the roster?
There's no doubt his odds definitely went up. I think the interesting part here is going to be, is this over? This is a huge move for Pittsburgh, obviously. The resume from Jalen Ramsey is extremely similar to Minkah's as far as all-pro appearances and Pro Bowls. And the elite level play at his peak. It seems as though he's probably got that behind him now, though. The question is, how many good years do we have from Jalen Ramsey? So my question is, and we won't know other than time, does Pittsburgh do something like go out and bring in Justin Simmons, who's still available in free agency and still playing at a high level? Does Pittsburgh decide to move Jalen Ramsey in the base defense to the free safety position and still have Slay and Joey Porter Jr. as the corners? And then in nickel, you slide him back in and put Thornhill back in his spot. So it all depends on how they play this as to whether or not it's going to be a big drop-off. I feel like, to me, Minkah was a better player at this stage in his career than Jalen probably is at this stage in his career. But when you add in the Jonnu Smith part, it really sweetens the deal. So Yeah, I'm very anxious to see how this plays out for the corner and safety rooms. And it really kind of sucks for guys like Dante Kent and Corey Trice and Eccles and these back of the roster corners, because one less of those guys is likely to be on the team now.
Right. Well, and then kind of what you said, like, do we keep Ramsey at corner or do we move him to a safety? You know, I think of like, are we going to move somebody that we have rostered as a corner to potentially a safety? Something like, like Rod Wilson, or, you know, or not Wilson, Woodson. Sorry, my bad. You know, but like, that's typically which, you know, looking at our room right now, we do have a lot of older guys, you know, so it's like making that transition from the corner to the safety. You want to look at somebody who's older, not as speed, you know, but I'm intrigued to see how this goes.
The average age of this team has changed drastically this offseason.
Yes. Well, and even that, like, we typically, when we go for like our free agency or even like trades, historically we've done younger. And so this, I feel like arguably we're getting ticked off about the 0-5 playoff record. But I want to argue, like, as much as I want a playoff win, and that I do, for 1 year, you know what I mean? Like, how, like, what's the longevity of all of this?
Yeah. And the argument can be made that Pittsburgh is making that all-in push with Rodgers.
Yes.
I mean, getting him Jonnu Smith, getting him a guy, Jonnu Smith coming off his best year last year with, what was it, 1,300 yards?
88 catches and 880 some yards, 8 touchdowns.
884 yards, 8 touchdowns. Yeah. I mean, it's his best year yet by far. And James and I were talking about this a little bit before the show. You put him now on a team with Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, who in my mind was a guy that was going to have a breakout year because he finally had a quarterback that could throw him the ball. And I feel bad for Darnell because Darnell playing at Georgia, winning a natty with them, and being the stud that he is, never has gotten, I think, a true opportunity to be a number 1 or even number 2 tight end in this league because, yes, he's been a number 2 tight end, but Russell Wilson couldn't see over the line to throw him the ball, and Justin Fields was too scared for his life behind the broken offensive line to throw the ball. And
Kenny Pickett didn't do much justice either.
I mean, true, but
Right.
there's this sense of like, okay, Pittsburgh, this trade with Jonnu Smith, hands down, Pittsburgh has the best tight end group, bar none, in the league. If this tight end group combined doesn't have at least 15 touchdowns and 1,500 yards, I'm going to blow the top off. Like, I'm going to freak out.
And Cody, to your point there too, Cody, not only do they probably have the best tight end room in the league, they probably have the best corner room in the league now too. If not, it's got to be considered probably top 2 or 3. So they basically took a couple of rooms and turned them into extreme strengths. And just it all depends on how does things play out at the safety position, you know? If you start giving up a bunch of deep stuff because, you know, your older corners that are now going to be starting corners on this team can't handle the speed of guys, then your safeties have to be able to be in position to be deep. Thornhill's an athletic dude. He can handle that. And Elliott probably had his best year as a pro last year. That's why he just got the extension and the extra money. So, yeah, the tight end room and the corner room for Pittsburgh, we should be talking a lot about it because, boy, are those strengths. And I'm with you, Cody. I think this should be a 15 touchdown season for these tight ends. I see no reason for it not to be. I mean, Jonnu had 8 last year, and what did Pat have, 7 by himself? That's not even including Darnell and Connor, who usually end up each getting at least one.
I think Darnell had 1 last year. Connor might have had a few.
Well, I feel like this further solidifies our suspicion of Connor not making the 53-man roster.
I'm not even sold on that.
Really?
He can play fullback.
I think
you know what? That's true.
That helped. That helped.
Well, and if you look at Jonnu Smith as a guy too, and you look at this corner or this tight end room that we have, Jonnu Smith is not your typical run-of-the-mill do-it-all kind of tight end. He's more of a receiving tight end, and Pittsburgh has been in need of a receiving kind of guy. for a little while here. They were talking about who's that number 2 option going to be. And Arthur Smith is a huge fan of Jonnu Smith. That's his guy. They brought him in as a part of this trade for Arthur Smith. So he knows how to move him around. He knows how to use him. And seeing him come off of his best season as a pro in recent history, if not ever, really kind of bolsters the idea of he's going to be on the field a lot. So we might see a lot of 3 tight end sets coming out of here to kind of give the look of, is it going to Jonnu? Is it going to Pat? Is it going to Darnell? Is it going to be a run play and 2 of those guys are blocking and Jonnu's just a guy that's going to pull one of those corners out of the mix of the run blocking? So it's going to be interesting to see how they use the offense now that we have all of these weapons in that one room specifically, but also kind of playing to Arthur Smith's strengths and a guy that he knows and a guy that he feels like he knows how to use, and I'm sure that he does. And in terms of the corner room, Jalen Ramsey, his hype video was very good if you saw him dropping his own news. So would love to see that. But I'll be interested to see where they play him as well, because he has a decent bit of experience in the corner or the slot corner position. So it'll be interesting to see what that does to Beanie Bishop's role on the defense as well, if they're going to move him to slot and then have either Elliott or Thornhill or both back in there.
And that's another point where I'm upset about, because Beanie Bishop had a phenomenal year last year with 5 or 4 interceptions? I think it was
4,
5.
I believe.
4. And Dante Jackson had 5
in one game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sad to see a guy like that have like such a young guy from a smaller, well, not a smaller school, West Virginia University, but like just a smaller guy come in, late round draft pick, or was he undrafted? He was undrafted.
I believe he was undrafted.
Yeah. And then make a splash, and then it's like, hey, boom, you're gone. Like, don't get me wrong, he'll be back if he sticks around, and like these other guys age out in the year or 2 it's going to take. But it's just sad. He put in that was 6. He had started 6 games and got 4 picks. And I don't think, like you said, 2 against Aaron.
And I don't think that Beanie's going anywhere, even though I think this makes it going to be that he's going to have to play a little less, which is unfortunate. But I think this gives him the opportunity to learn from a guy like Jalen Ramsey. And I'm hoping that's the case, because if it's not, I'm going to be just as mad as you are, Cody, if not more. But seeing Beanie have that potential, but also be able to bring in this kind of a mentor. Ramsey's old. He's going to be 31, I believe, in October. Which is 3 years older than Minkah is right now. So a little bit of a salty point there for the pretzel over here.
31 October 24th.
But despite that, he's also not the most durable guy. He's missed some time recently with some injuries. So I don't think this spells the end for Beanie Bishop. I'm hoping it's more of a mentor-mentee kind of thing, especially since we did only bring him in on that 1-year deal. I also don't like paying him more, especially when we haven't paid TJ yet. But as James likes to remind me, there's still plenty of money to pay TJ. So let's get that done. But I don't think this spells the end for Beanie Bishop at all. I'm really hoping it's that mentor-mentee kind of relationship going on here.
Yeah. And I would agree with you. I don't think that Beanie Bishop is going anywhere. And as far as the age difference, it's 2 years and 1 month. So it's basically
analytics over here, baby.
I was curious as to whether or not it was 2 years, less than 2, or what it was. So I looked it up earlier today. But yeah, my thing is, like, the team didn't have a lot of faith in Beanie Bishop, and he got those interceptions, and I thought he played decent, but he wasn't that sticky in coverage. So the real thing is that the Pittsburgh coaching staff didn't have a lot of faith in Beanie Bishop last year, because they went to Cam Sutton and didn't pull Cam Sutton when he was absolutely stinking up the joint the second half of the season. So that tells me that their faith in Beanie Bishop being able to be the guy wasn't as high as it is for all of us. I do think that Beanie can step into that role, but I think that this is just more of getting a better long-term plan. Because Slay was always just a 1-year plan. You got a 1-year deal. He's coming in, and then you're letting him go after the 1 year's over. So Jalen Ramsey, you're hoping, can be like a 2 or 3 year Band-Aid while you try to find that other long-term solution at outside corner. So I think that's probably going to be the play this year, as we see Jalen play a ton of nickel. Beanie will get a little play in dime, hopefully. And then next year, you'll see Jalen transfer to like the starting outside role when Slay goes on to another team. Hopefully, that way we can get some compensatory formula compensation there. And then maybe you take a shot at a corner to try to get a long-term solution there. But I've heard also that Pittsburgh sees a lot of similarities in Jalen Ramsey to what Rod Woodson was in his career in that ability to transition to safety. Mm-hmm. He's a bigger dude. He's 6'1", 209, which is even bigger than what Minkah was a more athletic dude than Minkah was coming out of the draft. He ran a 4.4 140 and has great length along with this. So if he's able to successfully transition to free safety and he's able to be successful for another 3 or 4 years at that position, then this trade doesn't look bad at all. It might end up looking like a real steal. And the other thing is that, according to Mark Kaboly, the team was not intending on extending Minkah Fitzpatrick after his deal was over at the end of this upcoming season. They thought that he's looking like he's starting to regress as far as his abilities on the field, which as far as like the production and interceptions and fumbles, we talked about that earlier, and it's not been what it has been the last couple of years. I agree with the points that you guys made. I feel like a lot of this is because he's had to babysit corner number 2 to make sure he doesn't get smoked all day long. Yep. But regardless, the numbers say that he's not doing as well. Inside that stadium, it seems as though the front office felt that he's going in the wrong direction. And since they weren't planning on keeping him, they were just trying to get some compensation for him. And then only time will tell as to whether or not this is actually what the plan ends up being and whether or not it's successful.
So with that being said, James, here's the question. And I'm going to ask all of you individually is what did this think systematically, think at the year? Don't obviously overanalyze it, but analyzing the year, where do you think that took us from a team win wise? Like, does this take us from an 8 to 10 win team to a 13 to 14 win team and a Super Bowl contender? Or is this just like, hey, we're going to get rid of that playoff drought? Jill, I'll let you go first.
I think if we actually utilize our tight ends, that we're going to see more wins. I feel like we've had these tight end weapons, but they've just not been utilized well. And that can be, a number of things. Poor play call, our offensive line can't hold. Like, there's a number of things that factor into that. But I'm like, now that we've got this, 3 stellar tight ends just right out the get-go, and that's not including the 3 other guys that, we've talked about in, our 53-man roster. I feel like if we actually utilize them and we're throwing to the middle of the field, at least offensively, this trade actually looks good to me. I feel like we spend a lot of money on defense. I don't even know where we're ranked at in the league right now with how much we spend on defense. And I feel like probably, which, is fine. I'm all for paying a great defense to do its job. I'm a little sick of relying on our defense to be the ones that that's winning the games for us, because you look at the teams that are winning Super Bowls and it's not their defense. It's their offense that is scoring points, but I don't want to be like Cincinnati where they have a killer offense and they can't stop anybody to save their life, So I feel like
Pittsburgh is still the highest paid defense in the league at $178 million. The second highest is the Giants at $150.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so I feel like if we can actually utilize this where we have this amazing strength in this room and everyone can stay healthy, that looks good to be putting points on the board. Now, in regards to Super Bowl, I don't know. I feel like I'm excited for preseason to see what will actually take place, because on paper, I feel like this is true with every sports team I love. On paper, it looks phenomenal. And then you watch it actually happen and you're like, yep, this makes no sense to me. Why are we not, you should be X,
It's been every year since COVID that James and I talk about this, that I say on paper, our team is stacked on offense and we can't put up points.
And we can't put up because we're not utilized. I will die on that hill of Darnell Washington being the giant that he is, and you're just not using him.
The pterodactyl, man.
Give him the ball and let him fall. He's getting 5 yards, baby. That's an average of a first down every 2 plays.
And again, more to what we were saying earlier, where we have quarterbacks that simply can't see over the line, or quarterbacks that are just, like crumbling under the pressure. But so I feel like, to the pro of Aaron Rodgers, like we won't have that. We won't have that nervousness of crumbling, which then I feel like will lead to more offensive scoring points and maybe production in the red zone, because we simply struggle with that. So
yeah,
I hope it means winning more, and I hope it means winning a playoff game after this awful drought that we have. But again, at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I want us to win a playoff game, but like longevity wise, like if we're bringing Ramsey in so that he can coach up some of these guys, we're bringing Rodgers in so that he can coach up Howard. Like I like that while also pushing for, because I feel like it can't be separated. I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, well, it's either you push or you coach. And I'm like, why can't it be both? Why can't it be out of the overflow of excellence that you're raising these guys up to the standard?
That's what it was in the 70s.
Right, exactly. Like you can't
the
have a
standard
great
is the standard, and the standard is losing in the first round of the playoffs.
I saw
James
something
hates
that was like,
James hates that. Look at his face.
I saw a post somewhere. It was like, this is a lot of work to go 9-8 and lose the first round of playoffs. And I
That's
was
been
like,
the running joke for us for a while.
a while.
The whole thing
But-
happened whenever we got Kenny Pickett, and it said like, if you weren't with us at 12 or if you weren't with us at 8-8, don't be with us at 9-7 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Our miraculous 11-0 COVID year.
Yeah. That was
Somehow
so crazy.
Worst football team to be 11-0. But anyway.
Nick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm concerned now a bit more about our passing defense for sure. I think the addition of Ramsey is great. I love the strength of our corners. Like James said, I think it's one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL at the time. I would really like to see us bring in Justin Simmons, like James mentioned. That was one of the things I wanted to make sure we addressed on the show, and I'm glad he brought it up. I think that would really solidify us as a very elite secondary. I think that would be I feel like that's the one missing piece now that we lost Minkah. And I think that we do need to give him that due credit of having to be the babysitter. And I know he's been going down a bit, but Dante Jackson was not it. Patrick Peterson was not it. Joe Hayden at the end of his career was not it. And even not even talking about strictly the defensive side of the ball, the defense was out there all the time. And with 3 years of Matt Canada out there, the offense was abysmal. And I know we're still talking about him, but it really did impact the defense a lot. So when you're out there every play and you're getting gassed and you're trying to cover for 2 or 3 guys on the field, you can't really be yourself. So I wish Minkah well. I'm very sad we lost him. So I really do think we'll need to bring in some more safety help. I like Deshaun Elliott. I'm happy we brought in Juan Thornhill. I hope he can compete at the same level that Minkah could. I just don't know that that's going to be the case. And in a division where you have to play a team that has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins twice a year, I'm not sure that I'm excited about our secondary at the moment, despite the addition of Jalen Ramsey. So I don't know that it necessarily elevated us that much defensively. In terms of the offense, I'm really excited that we got Jonnu Smith because he can be that pass-catching option like we mentioned before. I just don't know how much Arthur Smith is going to be doing those 3 tight end sets, which I think is essential because I don't know that Calvin Austin or Robert Woods are going to contribute in the way you want to as that second pass-catching guy. And how many times are you running 3 tight ends out there? I would like him to do it a lot because I think that's what we need to do. But then how much does that become predictable? So I'm concerned. I don't think it elevated us too much. I think it was kind of a even keel move, if I'm being completely honest, until we might bring in another guy to be able to bolster what we lost with Minkah personally.
Yeah. James?
So I think overall, this probably gives you the reasonable expectation to get 1 or 2 more wins on the regular season. And depending on your matchup on who you play in the postseason, you should feel a lot better about it. The reason I say that is because now I feel like we have 3 corners that can really hang, and I have zero concern about playing the Cincinnati Bengals now. I do not think that for 1 second that's going to be an issue because Joey Porter Jr. proved that he can hang with Jamar Chase. That wasn't an issue. He can hang with T. Higgins, also not an issue. And I think that you got enough left in the tank from Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey that they can handle the other guy. So I feel like those super pass-heavy teams, like the Bengals and sometimes the Chiefs, are not going to be anywhere near as much of a problem as they were before. So as long as this run defense with Derek Harmon stepping up to the plate now, and also Daniel Okwale being that top backup, as long as those guys hold up against teams like the Ravens and the Bills, then I think you should be able to expect to at least get a win in the playoffs now. But again, it all really comes down to what's that matchup. Offensively, I think that we should see a ton more points than what we had previously because the mismatches are going to be all over the place. And just kind of like a brief breakdown. So early in Jonnu Smith's career, he had 4 years with the Tennessee Titans. That's where he had Arthur Smith as his offensive coordinator. He got better every year. His last year with the Titans, he had 41 catches, 448 yards, 8 touchdowns. So he was used, got in the end zone a lot. He went off to New England, had 2 awful years, went to Atlanta where he had Arthur Smith as his head coach. There he had 50 catches, 582 yards, and 3 touchdowns, which at that point in his career was his best season, his second best one being his final year with Tennessee. Last year he blew all those numbers away because now the NFL knows how to use him because Arthur Smith has shown them. So I think that this is going to be real pass heavy to Jonnu Smith. I think he's going to be probably number 2 in targets, overtaking Pat Freiermuth, which won't make a lot of Steeler fans happy, but understand that he's probably also going to line up as an exterior wide receiver a lot. And that's going to allow Pat Freiermuth to be one-on-one with linebackers instead of safeties. He's going to get a lot more favorable matchups because of the addition of Jonnu Smith and where he's going to attract the attention of safeties and corners now. So I think offensively, it's going to be a lot more fun than we're used to. In those third and medium situations, even third and long are going to be a lot more of them are going to be taken care of just because the offense should be that much better. So I see it as a pretty big upgrade on both sides in those 2 key positions. And I honestly feel like an adequate level safety can be good enough as to where if you have an elite safety, you can throw away from them all day long. That's what teams did the last couple of years. They didn't throw at Minkah. They threw wherever he wasn't, and that's part of the lack of production that he had. So maybe you're just better off going with an adequate level safety, but elite corners.
Well, yeah. I've got to go, guys. Sorry.
Thanks,
Jill, drive safe.
Thank
Eyes
you.
on the road. Speed limit.
You got it. I'm excited to listen to the rest of this.
Don't push your door.
Bye, guys. Oh, my gosh.
Later,
bye,
Jill.
Guys. Bye.
So I think for me, it's almost a wash. I asked the question. It's a loaded question about, where does that put us win-wise? Where does that put us Super Bowl contender, playoff bust, whatever? I almost think it's a wash from the win category because I feel like the secondary, and this is not what I'm trying to say. I don't think Jalen Ramsey's washed. I saw him play even as recent as last year. He still has it. He may have lost a step, but like you said, James, he was more athletic than Minkah was. I think there probably should be some type of plan to play him at safety. But I do believe he's not going to have that innate, like that. I don't know what to call it. That instinct that safeties naturally have. I think from the cornerback position transitioning, that's going to be a tougher transition for him. Not than anything, or not that he can't do it, but from Minkah's natural ability to Jalen, kind of learning the position, I think there will be a sloppy kind of transition there. But I do agree with what you said, James, that it is an upgrade at the cornerback position, and it is a massive upgrade at the tight end position. And again, Jonnu is going to line up in a wide receiver position. And I think that the only way this doesn't work for a benefit for us is if we come out and do exactly what Nick said, which is 3 tight end sets all the time. No variance of where guys are lined up, no motion, like if we just come out and just do something, it's going to become repetitive, and then it might work for the first half of the year. It might, but then we're going to hit the second half, and people are going to have film and have tape and have learned it, and we're going to hit a roadblock and Pittsburgh is not good at changing things mid-season outside of the bye week. Bye week's week 5. We lose that ability to make changes late in the season. So I really think that it's going to be a wash from the win category. I think this team is a 10-win team. I honestly think it's a 12-win team. With that being said, I think as a team, this team will put up more points drastically than they have the last 2 years. I think we could see 50, 60 more points than we've put up throughout the course of the season. But I'm worried about that over-the-top deep balls, which, again, the only 2 teams this year that I think we play with the speedy wide receivers are the Bengals twice. I don't think we play the Chiefs this year, and I don't think we play the Dolphins this year, if I'm not mistaken, with Tyreek.
Which would be, while you're talking, go ahead.
Which would be interesting because then we play Minkah. But I do also think that this all could blow up in our face if a deal does not
play
get
the Dolphins,
done.
Sorry.
Okay, week 2 we play the Dolphins. Cool.
No, not week 2. Sorry, or I don't know what week it is, but I know we do play them because spoiler alert for the TikTok. I've been preparing matchup videos, so I remember making a Dolphins one. So that's
okay.
That
Perfect.
Week 15, we do have them, and we also do have the Vikings this year with Justin Jefferson.
And Jordan Addison too.
And Jordan Addison. So I'll be interested to see how we play in those games because that's going to say a lot about what our secondary can do. But again, with the addition of the rookie at the line or the rookie lineman, what's his name?
Derek Harmon.
I think there's no reason this team should not benefit from everything that they've done so far this offseason. I'm frustrated as a fan from loving Minkah, and similar thing with Jill when she was talking about her jerseys. Every single time I buy a player's jersey, they're gone. Rashard Mendenhall, Antonio Brown, Santonio Holmes. Like, I got a James Conner jersey, Juju Smith-Schuster. The last jersey I got is TJ Watt. And again, I think all of this blows up in our face if we don't do something with Watt. If Watt gets traded this offseason before we get – and I know you guys are like, that's not going to happen. I didn't think Minkah was going to get traded, but here we are.
True. My jersey collection is James Conner, Juju Smith-Schuster, and TJ Watt. So let's hope that our jerseys don't spell the end for TJ.
I don't think TJ's in the clear right now. I really don't.
I don't. But
I hope that they sign him to a deal. I hope they can get that done. If they bring in Justin Simmons, I question whether or not it's still possible. But there's a lot of question marks in the air, and I really hope TJ's been quiet ever since he put that peace sign video up or Instagram post up. So I'm hoping that there's been some discussions and there's been some positive things happening because I think if we lock him in, I feel a lot more confident about the season than without him. I think without TJ and without Minkah, my faith in the defense from a leadership standpoint, don't get me wrong, Cameron's still there, but Cameron's D-line is so much different from linebackers and secondary from a leadership standpoint. I feel like you have to have a vocal leader in that backfield a little bit. Not that TJ plays back there very much, but there's something about TJ that hypes up everybody. And so I'm hoping that we can get that deal done. But again, I think that it's a wash from the win category, but I think it puts us as genuine playoff contenders. We should get a playoff win for sure.
Well, and there's a couple more teams that we play this year that frighten me a little bit in terms of the secondary because feel Seattle we play. They just got Cooper Kupp in addition to JSN. We play Green Bay for the Aaron Rodgers revenge game, which I know I'm mentioning the DK revenge game previously, and we're just going down the revenge game list here. But they just got Matthew Golden in the draft. He was one of the faster receivers in this draft, and they already have a decent receiver core as it is. There's a number of teams that we'll be playing that slightly worry me in terms of having the good receivers, which great that we got the corners, and I hope that contributes, like James said, to the success of taking them out. Hopefully Joey can do his thing and Darius Slay and hopefully Ramsey on the opposite side, whether they move him into Ramsey into nickel or not. But there are definitely more teams with solid weapons that tend to worry me in terms of passing. I think we're going to be set this year on the run with all the moves that we've made, especially bringing Deshaun Elliott back. Like he crashes into the box like you wouldn't believe. So I'm glad we've got the run game figured out, but now I feel as if we've shifted so far towards the run that we've kind of slightly, even though we did bring in Ramsey, I feel like the secondary has slightly taken the hit with the loss of Minkah. But hopefully what James said comes to pass, and that making do with a not as solid safety room is mitigated by having one of the best, if not the best, corner room.
Yeah, and Cody, I just want to remind you, don't worry about money as far as TJ Watt.
I know his cap hit will be lower if he gets extended.
Yes.
I know that, but it's the fact that it's like it's not. I feel like he's not safe at this point. This team is doing stuff that I never thought they'd do.
If it makes you feel any better, I believe it was Tom Pelissaro came out and said that the team has no intention of moving TJ and that they are focused on getting a deal done. And that came after the Schefter report of other teams reaching out with interest, which did not mention Pittsburgh putting out feelers. It was other teams reaching out with interest. So if anything that we can glean from that, it seems like Pittsburgh is focused on keeping TJ in the room, which is maybe just me latching on to that for my own sake as a fan. But it seems like all reports as of now are that Pittsburgh has no intention of moving TJ.
Yeah, and I got to think that it would be pretty crazy to move on from TJ, but let's just say for a second they did. And I would be very against this move if they did it. You're going to get probably at least 2 first-round picks if you move on from TJ. And if you're in a situation where you think that if you load up on first-round picks, you can go get your franchise quarterback next year, maybe it is a possibility of something they think about doing, and then that would put Nick Herbig in the starting lineup. I don't like that idea. I don't want them to move on from TJ. But if they do, I would expect serious compensation in a trade if they did something.
I wouldn't forgive them if they did anything less.
Yeah, they're not going to move on from TJ and take a third-round pick because they have no reason to do that. It would have to be extreme compensation in a trade for them to even consider it. I would say starting at least 2 first-round picks, probably with some more in it as well, like a third and a fourth or something.
Or another guy, even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a safety.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
deplete
a lot
the linebacker room to boost the safety room now. Why not?
Yeah, a lot of interesting things happening with this. Do you guys have anything else to add to this conversation? A lot going on. A lot of things to look forward to for this preseason. Honestly, preseason is going to be a whirlwind. So if you guys in the chat or if you guys listening or watching this, if you're watching on YouTube, have anything to say, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get your opinions on the trade. If we think they're intriguing enough or think you have something to add, we'll definitely share it on the show. Make sure to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell. It's free. Doesn't cost you a thing. Don't forget the 5-star reviews on our podcasts. Make James here very happy. Also, big shout out to Nick Pretzel. Nick's been doing an awesome job on the new TikToks, so we appreciate him. And again, until next time, this is your host, James, Cody, and Nick, and Jill from Ohio, signing off.
Peace.
Peace.
Steelers.